The year is 2024. North Korea has successfully developed a nuclear arsenal of more than 100 warheads and a range of ballistic missiles that can reach any target in the world. France, as one of the few countries that does not have diplomatic relations with North Korea, has been a vocal critic of its nuclear program and human rights violations. France has also been a staunch ally of the United States and South Korea, supporting their efforts to impose sanctions and pressure on Pyongyang. In January, North Korea conducts another nuclear test, claiming that it has achieved a hydrogen bomb. The test triggers a massive earthquake and radiation leak, causing widespread damage and panic in the region. The UN Security Council condemns the test and imposes new sanctions on North Korea, including a ban on oil exports and a freeze on its assets. North Korea responds by threatening to launch a preemptive strike against its enemies, especially the US and its allies. In February, France announces that it will send a naval task force to the Pacific, consisting of an aircraft carrier, 2 destroyers, and a submarine, to join the US-led coalition that is conducting military exercises and patrols near the Korean peninsula. France says that the move is a show of solidarity and deterrence, and that it will not tolerate any aggression from North Korea. North Korea denounces France as a puppet of the US and a warmonger, and warns that it will target its nuclear weapons at any French vessel or territory that comes close to its waters. In March, tensions escalate further when North Korea fires several short-range missiles into the Sea of Japan, demonstrating its ability to evade missile defenses. France responds by flying several Rafale fighter jets over the Korean peninsula, in coordination with the US and South Korea, to demonstrate its air superiority and readiness. North Korea accuses France of violating its sovereignty and airspace, and vows to retaliate with a merciless and powerful response. In April, the situation reaches a breaking point when North Korea launches a surprise attack on the French Naval Task Force, using a submarine-launched ballistic missile, SLBM, armed with a nuclear warhead. The missile hits the French aircraft carrier, causing a massive explosion and sinking the ship. More than 1,000 French sailors are killed or wounded, and the radiation spreads to the surrounding waters and air. The attack shocks the world and triggers a global crisis. France declares a state of emergency and calls for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council. France also invokes Article 5 of the NATO Treaty, which states that an attack on one member is an attack on all, and asks for the support of its allies. The US, the UK, and other NATO members condemn the attack and express their solidarity with France. They also warn North Korea that it has crossed a red line, and that they will respond with all necessary means. In May, France and its allies launch a massive retaliatory strike against North Korea, using a combination of conventional and nuclear weapons. The strike targets North Korea's nuclear facilities, missile sites, military bases, and leadership bunkers. The strike is aimed at destroying North Korea's nuclear capability and regime, and preventing further attacks. North Korea tries to defend itself with its own nuclear weapons, but most of them are intercepted or fail to detonate. The strike causes enormous devastation and casualties in North Korea, and also affects China, Russia, and South Korea, which are exposed to the fallout and the refugees. The strike also sparks a global outcry and condemnation, especially from the non-aligned countries, and the anti-nuclear movement, which accuse France and its allies of violating international law and human rights. The war ends with a ceasefire, brokered by the UN and China, which calls for the denuclearization and demilitarization of the Korean peninsula, and the establishment of a peace regime. The war leaves both sides with heavy losses and damages, and a deep sense of resentment and distrust. The war also changes the geopolitical landscape and the balance of power in the region and the world, creating new challenges and opportunities for cooperation and conflict. The war also raises questions and debates about the role and responsibility of nuclear weapons and their proliferation in the 21st century.